Hello friends, it's me again, and yes, I am finally back. I can do videos again. Isn't that cool? Well, now I've got to figure out something else. What do I do a video on? Well, I mean, you can just go, check out the video title. You can pause the video right now, I'll wait. Okay, ready? Now you know that the video will be on Anubis, the god of the dead. Now you might be thinking, why would I do a video on Anubis? Well, to let you guys all know, Egypt is actually my favorite mythology, but don't worry, Slavic mythology. They still hold a special place in my heart. Well, what's there not just to love? Egypt is filled with great stories, awesome gods, not to mention that really sick music. Now how about we talk about how Anubis got here and what he was back then? You might be thinking, well, yeah, Anubis, god of the dead. That's a very well-known one. But did you also know he was a god of mummification? He also guides souls into the afterlife, and he's known as a guardian of the tombs. This will become important later. You might be thinking that in the Egyptian afterlife, as soon as you die, you go straight up to the afterlife. You see, in the Book of the Dead, you can actually tell that we have to go through a bunch of trials, and then go for a final trial before we could pass on to the afterlife. In this last trial, you see Anubis, Thoth, and Ma'at, and maybe Osiris. This would then weigh your heart against the feather of Ma'at. If you've been a good person all your life, your heart will be balanced with the feather. And what's your prize for being a good person all your life? Well, for eternity, you get to plant. I knew my farming skills on Minecraft would finally come to use. If you had a Shopty doll buried with you, that means it will help you farm in the afterlife. Oh, what a cute little guy. So cute. What if you were unrighteous? What if your heart was heavier than a feather? Like you played music out loud, or you would spoil a TV show finale just to get some reaction? Let's just say, in the nicest way possible, your soul will be ripped apart like a chew toy from the goddess Amit, who would then eat you, and so your soul will be eradicated from all of existence. I bet farming sounds really good to you right now. Anubis is not only the god of death and mummification, but he's also doing double duty just judging all the time. That should be it for Anubis, right? Check the timestamp. A lot more to this god than meets the eye. Like his parentage. By the way, I'm just saying right now, his parentage, it would be great for a romance TV setup. That's also a drama. And yes, it will be drama, as you will see in a bit. May I introduce you to Nephthys? She is the wife of Set, already raising some red flags already. Now you might be wondering, well, what's wrong with Set? Other than the fact that he's trying to find the most cartoonish way to murder his brother, Osiris. And Nephthys, well, she gets ignored a lot. Where Set wants to murder Osiris, Nephthys is more interested in Osiris for other reasons. He's already married to the goddess Isis. Yet, she said screw it and decided to get Osiris drunk and then seduced him. Or made herself look like Isis and did the dirty. Either way, they both lead up to one conclusion. She's now pregnant. Psst, let me tell you who the baby is. Yeah, it's Anubis. And if Seth found out, ooh, that is not good. Not good at all, folks. So, interfering for her own life, she ditched baby Anubis out in the desert, hoping that he wouldn't make it. And I thought DC characters had the most tragic backstories. Gods literally get this kind of treatment when they were babies. Luckily for Anubis, he was eventually picked up by Isis and adopted by her. By the way, if you think Nephthys was able to get away with all this, well, Seth was able to find out through means. Let's just say Seth had the same anger problem as I would do if I stubbed my toe while running down the hallway. As in, he was very mad, but not at Nephthys, but more at Osiris. He then adds this to his list of reasons to murder Osiris and why it's totally justified. Far later, when Seth actually murders Osiris, Ra sends down Anubis to go help out Nephthys and Isis with the whole mummification thing and bringing them back to life. Now, you might be thinking, why would Ra just send Anubis down like that? You might want to write it down. I'll come back to it later. Later, when Seth, while he was in leopard form, basically Anubis uses a hot rod and stabs Set, branding him with a dark spot, which explains why leopards get their spots. This explains two things. One, it explains why priests of Anubis will wear leopard cloth on them, and two, leopards have a lot of spots on them, right? So that would mean Anubis turns Set into a pincushion. Moving on. But yet, there's still more to this. Even more than Set's medical bill. You can tell, Anubis is a very old god. But where did he come from? Well, we talked about his stories, so yeah, let's get on to the history. Like I mentioned before, he's a very old god, so it's very possible he came from another deity, as he do with gods. And for Anubis' case, it seems to be from the god Wehepet, or Wehpet, from Wehpet. It could be, again, a possibility, but at least we have a good idea where to start. Also, by the way, I might have to explain why Anubis is Jekyll-headed. See, if I was a Egyptian Egyptian canine, I would be very hungry all the time. And what would be the great sense of nutrition? Why, your daily dose of dead bodies. You know, the healthy kind of diet. And these guys can't just get enough of it. But this leads into another question. What's up with the black fur? Jackals don't actually have black fur, so what's up with it? Well, you see, black is actually supposed to be symbolic. Now, it's kind of like the same reason why Osiris is green. You see, Osiris is green is because he's the god of agriculture. And, you know, that kind of color represents agriculture in Egypt. Because the color black, both representing the fertile soil of the Nile River, and death, something Anubis is very much the god of. He also used to have been the god of the underworld. Well, for a bit. You see, Anubis was a big shot deity back in the day, but Osiris rose in popularity in the early dynastic period and Middle Kingdom. And in consequence of Osiris's popularity, he basically took the status of king of the underworld away from Anubis, making Osiris the king of the underworld. And also, remember that story where Osiris got resurrected? Well, he couldn't really stay in the living. He had to go back to the land of the dead. But as Osiris' new ruler of the underworld, Anubis was made god of the dead, as in he would lead souls into the afterlife. He was still okay with this because it doesn't stop him from protecting the dead like he wants to. But did you know that this wasn't the only major change that happened to Anubis back then? Because in some stories, it says that Anubis' parents are actually Ra and Hathor. And it's also believed that his parentage changed just to fit in more with the Osiris myth. That explains when Ra sent down Anubis just like that. This is where stuff gets a little complicated, because it also says Set and Nephthys were his original parents. Yeah, it also says Osiris and Nephthys were his original parents. Even Bastet is also said to be Anubis' mother. It's not divine irony, I don't know what is. So in my opinion, I would love to see Murray cover this. Come on, make it happen. Now let's talk about when Anubis was very popular, like in Sinopolis, also called the City of Dogs. Well, just saying, that's where Anubis' main cult was mostly at. But he was also pretty big in Necropolis. But still, Osiris overtook his fame over there as well. But we can tell he was once big there because of his epithet, Lord of the Sacred Land, aka Necropolis. While we're on the topic, might as well bring up that people were able to find 8 million mummified dogs in Necropolis. I just kinda thought to mention that. Known as Master of Secrets, referring to him knowing what happens after when you die. He was also probably called Master of Secrets for a different secret reason. If you're wondering what that reason is, guess what? That's the point. Another epithet he had was Swallower of Thousands, not only referring to me at a free buffet, also referring to him taking a bunch of souls to the afterlife. Also, by the way, remember how I said jackals would usually eat the dead? Well, I heard this from somewhere where Anubis will eat unmummified bodies. I'm not too sure. I think they're getting it confused with Amit, but tell me what you think in the comments. Let's move on to his mummification part of his role. You see, remember when he fixed up Osiris? Well, he technically invented mummification because of it, but they would also wear wooden masks of Anubis while they do ceremonies. Anubis would also have a daughter called Kebeshet. She's the goddess of cooling waters, and she would purify the dead souls. I guess the business just runs in the family. And speaking of family, Anubis also has a consort by the name of Anput, and there's also a little bit of controversy saying if she's actually a goddess or just a different version. Again, it's complicated. But still, no matter how many times he changes, he still remains the god of the dead, which makes him a psychopomp. Now, a psychopomp is a being in mythology who would guide the souls of the dead to the afterlife. Think of Baron Samedi, for example. Or think of Thanatos. Both of them would bring souls into the afterlife, and both I would assume to listen to Notorious B.I.G. Life After Death album. This is important because when the Greeks came by to Egypt, they basically loved comparing their gods to the Egyptian gods. They compared Hades to Osiris, they compared Artemis to Bastet, but they also compared our boy Anubis, Hermes, because Hermes is also a psychopomp. They even made a new deity, Hermanubis. Also, by the way, I should also mention that Anubis isn't really the right way to say his name. You see, his name is Anpu. That's what the Egyptians called him. Greeks just called him Anubis. Probably should have called him Anpu this whole time. Whoops. Well, I believe this is the end of the video right now, so like if you liked the video, comment down what you want me to see do next, and also check out my Instagram account for, you know, more drawings I do. And also, by the way, I will be posting video game videos, like once a month. I talked to some friends about it, and I said it will be probably fun to do that, you know? Nice little change of pace. Well, I believe that's all for now. Subscribe if you want to, and see you all next time. God, it's been a while since I did that.